Welcome to Successful Philanthropy. I'm Jean Shafiroff, your host, and today I'm very excited to report that we have Tom Dunn with us. He's the president and CEO of the Southampton Arts Center. And Tom, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. I'm such a fan of yours and all that you do for so many great causes, and so thank you for inviting me on.
But thank you for being here.
Sure. To answer your question, I think the arts bring us together, right? And right now we need artistic expression and to be inspired and uplifted more than ever before. I mean, not only that, but it also serves as an economic driver for our region. So when we're putting an exhibition together or our season together, we know that all the folks that are coming out to be inspired by the work that we're curating, those folks are also going into the village of Southampton and going to Carvel and investing their dollars because it's desperately needed right now.
Yes, and now I remember the Southampton Arts Center when it was the Parish Art Museum.
Of course, yeah.
And then, it was about 7 years ago
yeah.
when the Parish Art Museum moved to its new facility in
right.
Watermill. And then who started the Southampton Arts Center, and how did all of this begin? You took the existing Parish Art building,
yeah.
a landmarked, exquisite structure,
right.
and you turned it into the Southampton Arts Center. And so what are you exactly, and how did this all begin?
Well, thank you. Sure. Southampton Arts Center was founded by former Mayor Mark Epley in partnership with Simone Levinson, our founding co-chair, J. Whitney Stevens, our other founding co-chair, and a small but incredibly generous and talented group of philanthropists who knew that this was too important a location for it to become a CVS or a Duane Reade.
So true.
Our founders knew that an arts center at the center of this community was needed for vitality and so forth. And so our doors opened in 2013, and we're now in our 8th season. And we've grown by leaps and bounds. Jean, in the last 5 years, our programs and our reach have quadrupled. What started with just 50 programs over the summer months of 2013, by 2019 we had 200 programs, and we reached 50,000 people, bringing them into our community. So
yes, I remember last year you had a new program almost every single night. And
yes.
I said to you, Tom, I remember,
I recall well.
How do you keep up with all these
yeah.
programs? And
right.
I think it's great, though, and I think that anytime you can offer the arts to a community, just the way in East Hampton has Guildhall,
yeah.
Southampton has the Southampton Arts Center, and the two are quite similar. But I want to hear from Tom. Tom, tell us exactly a little bit more about your programming.
Yeah.
What's going on at the Southampton Arts Center? I've read that you even have yoga classes, you have
yeah,
movies, you
true.
have an art exhibit all the time, something going
yeah.
on, and tell me more.
Well, we are, by design, our founders didn't want to create just another museum. We are a multidisciplinary cultural performing arts center. So across all disciplines, visual arts, we do 4 to 5, sometimes 6 exhibitions each year. We do film extensively, 12 months of the year, both inside our beautiful little theater and out on our west lawn, on our gorgeous grounds, which we have the honor of animating and activating and bringing to life. Also on those grounds, to your point, currently we offer yoga in partnership with local businesses. 5 Pillars Yoga is there now. We do pop-up retail rental events on our grounds. Soul Cycle is in residency right now in the rear area, which is great for the community. But we also do talks. We do family programs. We do a wide variety of offerings.
Yes, and so now during this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic, all of us, most of us are homebound, and we need something to do, and we're looking towards the arts for a little relief from all of this, because this is a painful period, I think, for all of us. And now with the fall beginning, we're all worried about the second wave, whether we will have one, and no one knows for sure. And so how have you addressed the COVID-19 pandemic? What is the Southampton Arts Center doing specifically? Do you have free programs?
Yeah.
And are you making it easier for people that may be out of a job, say, to come in and enjoy what you have?
Yeah, well, I'm incredibly proud of how SAC has responded to the pandemic and to the crisis. You know, I have a small team. Amy Kerwin is our artistic director. Godfrey Palaya, our director of production. It's the three of us are the full-time employees. We have a few other dedicated part-time support staff who have performed extraordinarily during this time and working in partnership with our board of directors, many of whom are founders, as I noted. We've responded in a number of ways. So programmatically, we, like everybody, pivoted to digital, right? How can we take our programs and our past programs and get it out and share it in the world so people have something to look at and experience? We created some specific virtual programs as well. It was also very important to us to think about how we could be good neighbors and good citizens, right? So
very important.
100%. So we used our platform, working in partnership with the Village of Southampton and the Chamber of Commerce, to shine a light on the essential businesses that stayed open during the pandemic. So we used our e-blasts to promote local businesses that were open. We celebrated the high school grads on the gates on Job's Lane by putting all their portraits up. We took one of our banners and we asked a fantastic North Fork, based artist, Cara Hoblin, to take a piece of work that she'd done celebrating the essential workers, and we turned it into a banner and we hung it on our building. So on top of that, we also offered pro bono counsel to artists who were seeking out emergency relief. So we took all of our resources and sort of looked outward and said, how can we be helpful to those around us, particularly those who are most vulnerable, artists, and those who need help, small business owners.
Right, and I'm interested in the artist, how you helped the artist.
Yeah.
You said what did you give them funding or?
Well, we didn't actually fund, but we gave our time and our expertise. A grant writer, Pat Snyder, who used to run the East End Arts Council, is working with us, and she was very kind enough to donate her time to help artists go through the grant application process for emergency relief. I am really proud, though, to be part of the Hamptons Art Network. It's a consortium of 19 culturals, Guildhall, Bay Street, Parish, SAC, and a variety of other great organizations. And so we put together programs for artists for relief that we administered through New York, NYFA. So, you know, we're out there doing all we can to help those around us, while also trying to raise dollars to keep our lights on and to keep our organization afloat as well.
And has this been a tough year for the Southampton Arts Center to raise money? Because I see that most cultural institutions are having a rough time right now because the funding dollars have dried up. And I'm wondering whether Southampton Arts Center is experiencing similar difficulties in New York City, Lincoln Center, everywhere. It's a tough year, but with the help of all of us, these institutions will continue to go on, and I think it's so important. So what are you doing exactly? What is your situation now? And are you managing, and will you survive the COVID-19 pandemic financially? I know you used to have weddings there in the backyard. I've been involved with the American Heart Association for many years, chairing their gala, and we've always had it at the Southampton Arts Center.
A great event, by the way.
A fun event, and a great cause. And but now that funding has dried up because no one can have a big party for 500 or 600 people any longer, what are you doing about that? How are you managing?
Yeah, well, it's been a challenging year, but it's a challenging year for all nonprofit culturals, for all small business owners. But to answer one of your questions, we're absolutely going to make it. I've got a fantastic board who is committed to making sure that our doors stay open. I know the Village of Southampton cares deeply about SAC succeeding. The first thing I did in partnership with many of my colleagues is that we navigated the federal relief. So we got the PPP money so we could keep everybody employed.
Wonderful.
We got the small business loan to the extent that we could. And, I went out and I raised money with my board, and we're bringing the dollars in that we need for the moment. We are, though, off probably $700,000 or $800,000 in revenue this year alone.
That's a lot, yes. But you're having an event coming up, right?
We are. Well, thank you for mentioning it.
I remember getting my request.
Yes, indeed. Well, we can talk about that later. So typically we do a gala,
Yes.
which is, I think, one of the most fun parties on the East End during the summer gala season. It's called Summerfest.
Yes, I've gone every year.
I know, I've seen you there, and we've had lovely times. So we can't come together with 400 people on our lawn. We have pivoted, which is what we do, I think, every day. We find out what the new challenge is, and we say, how do we solve that, right? So we've created a 2020 Patron Circle. It's a campaign. We're going out to all of our donors who have supported our gala in the past, and we're asking them to become 2020 Patron Circle members.
And what is the charge for that?
Well, one of the benefits for folks who give at $5,000 and above is a ticket to a very intimate 40-person dinner, an appreciation dinner that will be held on Friday, August 21st. Out in our Caesar Garden in open air with all socially distant requirements. And so it's our hope that past donors who support SAC would consider coming on board at whatever level they're comfortable with. And we talked about this before the cameras rolled.
I think you'll get the 40 people.
Yeah, no, I think so too.
I'm quite sure. I know you reached out to me.
Right, well, we're going to close that still.
Hoping to be there.
Yeah, good.
But and how do you buy a ticket to this event? What is your website?
Our website is southamptonartscenter.org, and that's got all the information on there.
And the date again is?
The date is Friday, August 21st.
So we have a week now, this week.
Yes, this week, yeah.
Right.
There's still a couple of tickets remaining.
Okay, now another question. Most of us, $5,000, for most of us viewing, and for someone like me even, when I'm being asked by many charities, $5,000 is a lot of money, but we can do something else, can't we? We can give at any level. So if Southampton Arts Center, if you live in Southampton and this is a place that means something to you, and even if you don't live here, Tom, what about the smaller donations?
Here's a great way to...
$100, $5, $10.
Certainly, anything is gratefully and warmly appreciated. Because
collectively it all adds up.
Oh,
correct?
Indeed it does. Yeah, we launched shortly after I arrived here in 2018. A friends circle, right? So for $55, you get free admission to our galleries all year long and discounts for a variety of other ticketed programs. What's great about SAC is that most of the programs that we do are free and at low cost. So in a way that's wonderful for the community, and it's challenging for me from a bottom line perspective because I don't want to, balance my budget on the back of our patrons, on the back of our guests, right? So. So the Friends Circle is great. We've got 400 friends who give at a variety of levels, and there's a renewal campaign that's happening right now. And so that's a way for a family can sign up for $100 and get free admission to everything that we do in the galleries all year long.
And what about the people who want to donate their time? Because if you want to be a philanthropist, for those that don't have the financial resources right now, all of us can donate our time and knowledge, and those resources are incredibly important. And if we look around, without the volunteer pool, the pool of volunteers throughout the United States, half of what we have going on right now would never be. Yeah. And so do you have volunteer opportunities?
We do. It's such a great point. There's so many ways to support your local arts organization, and you could do so financially if you're in a position to do so, or you can do so with your time or your intellect. We've got committees. We did an architecture and design tour that used to be in person. I think you might have been there a year ago. We did it virtually this year, and I've got this fantastic host committee for this. a group of real estate professionals and otherwise who are donating their time to help us put this event together. So there's host
That's
committees,
wonderful.
there's opportunities to volunteer in person at the center, on the lawn. If you're interested in helping us, we will find a way to make that happen.
Now I want to ask a little bit about you, Tom, because I read you were with Lincoln Center, and all of us here on the eastern end of Long Island absolutely love Lincoln Center. If you're a New York resident, or even if you're a full-time Long Island resident, Lincoln Center is really something so important to all of us, because it's an epicenter of art and well, mostly of the performing arts. And so you were with Lincoln Center.
I was.
How does it feel now to be living, well, you're living in Huntington, you tell me, with your family, but how does it feel to be working on Long Island and to be involved with a much smaller institution?
It feels great. I was very fortunate to spend almost 20 years at Lincoln Center in a variety of capacities. I started my career there as an assistant to the president, to Reynold Levy, who became a dear friend and mentor of mine and is one of the leading fundraisers in the country, if not the world. So, and I was at Lincoln Center at a really historic and exciting time. It was part of the redevelopment of the campus. We launched a $1.2 billion capital project, of which Lincoln Center raised $860 million, and this was largely during the Great Recession of the late 2000s. But I had a seat and a part of some really exciting times there. I was also the founding director of the David Rubenstein Atrium, which is a performance venue and visitor center that welcomes all of the visitors to the campus.
So you learned a lot at Lincoln Center,
I
and
did.
now you're with the Southampton Arts Center, and
Yeah.
you're taking all that you learned and he's applying it to the Southampton Arts Center, which I think is fantastic. And you're one good fundraiser. I remember last year you came to me and he approached me for an event honoring Bill Cunningham of the New York Times. And for most of you watching, Bill Cunningham was a documenter of fashion in the New York Times. He passed away a few years ago, and this was a retrospective, and you asked me to underwrite it. And
you very kindly
well,
did.
I happen to have loved Bill Cunningham, and I'm very grateful to Bill
There was
Cunningham.
a special connection between you and Bill, I think.
Well,
right?
he was very nice. He actually he came to my home one day when I was hosting a St. Patrick's Day party, and he came in and he took a few photos and then put it in the Sunday Times. But Bill Cunningham is a legend, and then the New York Times, which brings so much knowledge to all of us. We were working. You were working with them, I think, a little bit, and you had one of their staff people there.
Correct.
And it was really a great event. But you were really great at
thank you.
At fundraising and bringing your programs to the public and creating a new world for the Southampton Arts Center. And so I have to thank you very, very much. And now moving forward, 5 years from now, where do you expect the Southampton Arts Center to be? Do you have most organizations have not only a 1-year plan, they have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, sometimes even a 25 or a 100-year plan, just the way a government would have a long-term plan.
We do. I mean, so listen, we have a 99-year lease with the Village of Southampton.
Which is great.
We're in this for the long haul.
So you'll be around.
Yes.
The world may not be around, but you'll be around.
We'll all be wearing masks. Listen, we're all going to come out of this. SAC is going to come out of this stronger than ever. We do have a 5-year plan. We engaged an outside consultant to help us think through some strategic planning, and we refined our mission a little bit. And we're here to create a sustainable arts center that's going to anchor a cultural district in the Village of Southampton. It's a really exciting time for Southampton. Peter Marino and his foundation moving into the old Rogers Library next door. The History Museum does great work. The Cultural Center over near Lake Agawam does great work. So there's a new Southampton African American Museum that will be opening soon. Brenda does great work. So, arts and culture are going to lead the economic turnaround that's happening right now in this still COVID and hopefully soon post-COVID world. So, and I do see SAC in a leadership position taking us out of these struggling times.
Which is really great. Now,
Yeah.
What about weddings and big events? Are you expecting to bring them on again next year, or is that on hold
I
until
certainly
this
hope so.
pandemic
Yeah, I mean, it's
ends?
it's an important revenue stream for us, the Heart Ball and Dan's Rosé Soirée, another fun party that takes place there. And it's also just a great way to get people onto our campus and into our galleries, because the art is up there.
And it's
as
a
well.
meeting place for people too. When you
Yeah,
have an
yeah.
event, people, besides seeing the arts, they want to come out and see friends
Yeah.
and be with all of you.
Exactly right. I do want to tell you a little bit about the exhibition that's running right now, if I may.
Okay, yes, and then I want to hear about your educational programs for children.
Sure, excellent, great. So we opened just last week 2020 Vision, which is an exhibition that we're presenting in partnership with the New York Academy of Art. It was curated by David Kratz and Stephanie Roach, and it is a response to this moment in time. What's nice about being a relatively small organization is that we can be nimble and that we can be responsive to the moment. We had a different exhibition planned for the summer, and when COVID happened, we went back to David, and David was already thinking about evolving the show to be responsive. So what this show does, this exhibition, is that it provides a platform for creative thinkers, for artists, writers, to respond to this moment in time. So all of the art that's on our walls, and it's gorgeous and thought-provoking, and at times a little challenging, a little difficult. If you would imagine how you respond to this pandemic, it's not always the rosy images, but
For sure.
the show also speaks to the Black Lives Matter movement, which
Good.
has
Very important.
importantly taken the attention of our country right now. It presents a variety of work of diverse artists, and we're very proud of that. And so I do encourage people to come out to this exhibition. We're going to run it through the end of the year. We had other exhibitions planned that were canceled due to the crisis, but we then thought, well, we should just keep this show up so we can share it with as many people as possible.
Which is really nice. And what about educational programs for children? Because that is so important. If we don't work on educating the next generation and our very youngest generations, then we miss the point. So,
Yeah.
who are you? Are you aligned with some of the public schools, or
We do
with some of the camps?
Yeah, we do a
which
fair
aren't-
amount,
yes.
fair amount of work with local, with the Southampton School District.
Excellent.
We do a variety of studio classes. There isn't an educational arm per se of SAC quite yet. That's definitely something we see evolving in our 5-year plan. So we often work with our classes are often inspired by the exhibition that we have in our galleries. So last year, for example, when we presented the photo arc with National Geographic and ICP, the International Center for Photography, we did a variety of classes, both for kids and for adults, that were photography based on
and
how
that
to.
was beautiful.
Yeah, that was a really special exhibition. And
I
we were
remember.
very pleased to present that and share that with this community.
And how did the children like it?
The children loved it. There was a special feature where you could take a picture in front of a screen with one of the animals from Joel's photo arc, and so it was a great way to make an interactive feature. And thousands of people took their pictures and put it up on social media, and helped us tell the story of SAC. So we're very appreciative of that.
Well, very, very nice. And so this just about concludes this segment of Successful Philanthropy and my interview with Tom Dunn of the Southampton Arts Center. Again, the Southampton Arts Center has been in existence for 7 years. Formerly, it was the home of the Parish Art Museum, and Tom Dunn, you've done an extraordinary job along with your board.
Indeed.
And
the board.
Hopefully, you will continue doing what you're doing for many, many, many years to come. You've got that 99-year lease, which I
Right.
think is extraordinary.
Excellent.
You're doing many, many programs for the community, and during these really difficult times, it's so important for all of us to have something to do that is safe outside of the home, because right now we are all truly having a difficult time, wondering, well, is this pandemic over? Is it going to continue? Are we going to have a second wave? And no one knows for sure, but many of us feel that we have to sit tight, we have to be very careful. And so when an institution like the Southampton Arts Center provides programs for children, for adults, and I'm assuming you're practicing social distancing
Absolutely.
rules, and people have to wear a mask,
Yep.
but this isn't so terrible. We'll get through this if we support one another. And remember, all of us can be a philanthropist. If you don't have enormous financial resources, don't worry, because you can give your time and your knowledge. And remember, we all have something of value to offer, and each and every one of us can be an acting philanthropist. So on that note, I want to thank all of you for tuning in, and I will see you next week. Thank you very much, and stay safe.